guest already here, Mr. Miguel Flores. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you
What's
guys
up,
for having
man?
me, guys. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. Everybody doing good today?
Except
Trying to
for
shake this
Rudy.
bad energy, bro. Trying to shake this bad energy, man.
Oh, man. Well, let's throw in some positive energy because we are here hanging out with the guys Thursday night like we do every single week. Before we get started, fellas, let's go ahead and give our shout outs. Of course, as always, HKAUSA.com. Go to HKAUSA.com, purchase some their gear. They support a lot of fighters. From the amateurs to the pros to whoever is in combat sports, go check them out. Also, to our streaming partners, Flow Combat, Fight TV, ESPN Plus, The Zone, MMA TV. And for all your supplements, go to our friends at foxhoundfuel.com. You can use our discount code to get 20% off of your purchases. Use our code FBMMA in all caps. Our QR code is right there on the screen. And if you're listening and not watching, just go to foxhoundfuel.com and use our discount code. Also, to the fellas, if you want to buy some comfortable, badass underwear, go to johntyler.com. This guy is amazing. He is such a great guy and awesome person. So
The ladies are gonna love the way you look.
hell yeah. use our discount code as well. You get 20% off every single purchase. Fightbook in all caps. And if you want to support us even more, go to our merch store. If you don't see it, let me know. Hit me up in the DMs and you can get yourself a hat, a shirt, a sweater, mugs. We got it all. Just let me know. If you don't see it at the merch store, just let me know. I'm everywhere. I'm just
If we don't got it, you don't want it.
And you're not a real fight fan if you don't know who our guest, Mr. Miguel Flores, and his legendary brother. You're an up-and-coming legend, Miguel. Pleasure to have you on. We've been chatting before we went live, and man, thank you for making the time to join in the panel tonight, man.
No, absolutely, guys. I'm happy to join. I know Ray has always spoken super highly of your show and coming on a couple of times. And so I'm happy to make my first appearance on the show. I've been consuming all your content, guys, and what you guys do from the small shows to the big shows and how much you guys cover. I mean, that's true dedication, and it's what makes our jobs fun because you have passionate fans like you guys out there consuming it and know what they're talking about as well. So I'm happy to be a part of the show.
right on, man. Yeah, bro. We really do appreciate that. That's really awesome. Saying what you're saying about us, especially coming from you and your brother, man. I mean, me and your bro, man. We go way back. I mean, way back. And we actually met for the first time when I went and when I was still living in Texas and I covered the Canelo versus Kirkland fight. And
in Houston, right?
it's Houston, yeah, man. And that's when we met. And I started taking all kinds of pictures and sending to him. And then he invited me to this restaurant at a hotel and meet some legends. And yeah, man, it's fun. And then I started following you not too long after that, actually. I know you cover a lot of. Now, I don't know if you still do. Do you still cover any of the MMA events, or is it now strictly just pure boxing?
It's mainly strictly just boxing.
Okay.
I still used to do a lot of MMA. That's how I started.
Right.
I did a lot of local shows here in the Chicagoland area. A lot of promoters that were doing these club shows. Joe Goitia, Dan Hardy for XFO, and a lot of guys that have been in the UFC. Have come from their smaller shows. So Danielle Vale and Paul Vale, they had Hoosier Fight Club as well. That was a huge one for UFC Fight Pass. And it just, my schedule got too busy. And now also too, I mean, Illinois has done a horrible job as far as their commission. And they kind of have pushed a lot of these smaller promoters out the door, and it's kind of disappointing to see. So at a time where we would have, probably 6-7 club shows going on yearly, with 6-7 different promoters, I think there's only a handful, maybe 2 that do shows still consistently. And I think a lot of the blame is the commission in Illinois making it tough as possible. So that's the disappointing part, because those shows were always fun. It was always packed with a lot of fight fans, and a lot of young fighters got their opportunities that way.
Wow, that sucks, man. Because here in New Mexico, me and David, we live here in New Mexico, and I live in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho area. So we have a promotion right now, Fight World MMA. Shout out to them. They are huge supporters of us, of Fightbook MMA, and they are just fucking killing it here, man. They started their shows in their gym. They outgrew that. Now they're at a venue. They're outgrowing that venue. So I think they're going to start going to like where the UFC held their event, here at the Santa Ana Star Event Center. If that happens, I know they're going to start outgrowing that venue. So it's just it's getting big, man. Some other promotions come from other states to try to put on events here, but it's just not the same. I think a lot of us here in New Mexico and Albuquerque, the fight fans and all the fighters, were pretty much loyal to that promotion, which is good because JJ and company, they run a tight ship and very organized. They don't discriminate. They get whoever that wants to fight, and if you're not on that fight card, you're going to be on the next one. So it's fun, man. It's pretty cool. Especially even the boxing. There's a lot of boxing promotions out here too, that put on events, but it's a different vibe. From local boxing shows to MMA shows, a lot of people. I guess it depends on the market, but here they're more loyal to the MMA promotions, which is weird. But I mean, I guess it's not, because you got Jackson Week out here.
Yeah, that's true. And New Mexico is a huge kind of audience for MMA, as you mentioned. I mean, I think I did one boxing show out there one time. It was years ago, one of my first shows. But yeah, I mean, here in Chicago, it was very similar. It was a huge MMA community out here, way more so than boxing. And back in the early 90s, it was boxing. But once MMA got a little bit more prevalent because of the UFC, you started seeing a lot of promoters and things like that. And the attention just turned to MMA, and now there's, I think, just one boxing promoter. I think Bobby Hitz, who's been in the game for a long time. He's got a show this Saturday, and he's kind of the only one that's doing shows consistently out here.
Wow.
Are you going to be doing that show?
Yeah, I'll be broadcasting that show on for BXNG TV. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. They do a lot of the smaller boxing shows around. So I'll be working with them and their broadcast crew on Saturday night. So I'll be busy.
How long have you been doing this, man? How long have you been in the game?
So I just turned 30 a couple of weeks ago, and been doing it for about 13 years, since I was 17. So, I mean, as you know, if you're getting into this sport, whether it's MMA or boxing, you got to have a passion for it first and foremost. And it's a grind. I'm sure my brother has told you. And so I got to credit my father, who, grew up watching fight parties and I just, when I was 3-4 years old, going to Oscar De La Hoya fight nights at my aunt's house and things like that. And so once you get immersed in that culture early, you can't escape it. And then eventually you start, latching on to other fighters like Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera, and then you start seeing Floyd Mayweather coming up and all those fighters. And then it's a snowball effect. And then my brother, who we're 7 years apart, he got more opportunities. He was working local shows, but then he couldn't do a lot of the local shows. So when I turned 17 and I was still a senior in high school, he was like, hey, if I can't take these instead of giving them to other announcers, why don't I give them to you? You start to learn and learn under me and go to these local shows. I'll introduce you to a lot of these local promoters, and you can start to get your feet wet. Because I already was looking to get into sports broadcasting at a young age, and I started, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I, like similar to Ray, made my connections and got more opportunities, bigger shows, and now I can rarely do the local shows anymore. So it's kind of come full circle, but again, it all starts with my passion. I've watched a lot. I watched the UFC in the early days when I think my very first UFC was Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, like UFC.
Oh, wow.
40. That was the very first one. We had it on our cheater box and stuff like that. And then obviously boxing, I grew up since I was watching, like 3-4 years old, watching all those big fights. So, I mean, if you don't love it, I always tell people that ask me to try to get into it and how they can get into the industry. I said, if you don't love it, I'll tell you to stop right now. Cause it's like you said, you're not a real fight fan.
Not a real fight fan. Fuck out of here.
You gotta have a passion for it. Cause if there's one thing about the combat sports community is you can't bullshit them. And if they can sense that you don't really know what you're talking about, or you don't have a passion or a love for it, then they're going to tune you out pretty quickly. And so that's the thing I tell people. First and foremost, you got to love it. If you love it, then you can start looking at other things and how to break into it. But that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest advice I would give.
Who's the biggest event you've ever hosted, man? You were announced at.
The biggest event, I would have to say, see, that could go on multitude of ways, because it could be the best fight I've ever, attended and worked, which was Wilder Fury 3. That was the best fight. I think being in the arena, being a part of it and seeing it was just, it doesn't get better than that. Heavyweight boxing in Las Vegas. 5 knockdowns in the fight, back and forth. I mean, that's what every fight fan wants to see. So I would say that was probably the best fight I've been a part of. The best moment in my career was probably when I did Madison Square Garden. It was one of HBO's last shows.
Nice. And
being able to be the ring announcer for a world championship fight with Danny Jacobs and Sergey Derevyanchenko, which was a great fight. And having Jim Lampley throw it to me in the ring was like a surreal moment.
That's awesome, dude. Jim fucking Lampley, bro.
Because he's the GOAT, in my opinion, as far as at least who I grew up with. I know other people that have.
I grew up with him and Larry Merchant.
Exactly. That was incredible to just kind of experience and go through. And it was, I think, the second to last show for HBO. And in my opinion, I thought HBO boxing was it's the gold standard.
Yeah.
The way they put on their productions and their shows and the way they told their stories and the countless fights that they had. Boxing After Dark.
I was going to say, it was Boxing After Dark, bro. That was like my favorite.
It was the best.
Yeah. And then Friday night fights too. Oh, dude. Oh my God, bro. Every Friday night I come home, get myself ready, eat my dinner, and watch some boxing. It was the best. I wish they would bring it back, man.
There's a lot Friday night fights.
Yeah.
It's not the same, though.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
But, I've been very privileged to be a part of a lot of big events. But I would say those two off the top of my head are, right there.
But the most,
and then obviously,
the most recent event, though, I want to, give you props to. Amazing job. The Canelo Charlo fight. You were right in the mix, handling double duty. I heard your podcast you did with Ortiz, right? Richard Ortiz. So
Yep. Richard Ortiz, man.
Good stuff, man. And the cardboard cutout that's always behind you when we do these shows.
Always, he's always present.
Hey, look, I love Canelo. Like even before I was working these shows, he was always one of my favorite fighters, and to be able to see the behind the scenes stuff with him and you know, he's the biggest star in boxing, so you kind of expect, you know, all right, he's a diva, and you know, he's this and that, and getting able to see and talk with him. He's just such a cool dude, man. He is so down to earth and humble, and I have great respect for that, because you know, when you're making $50 million a fight, you can be the biggest jerk you want to be, and people got to take it. But he doesn't operate that way, and I have great appreciation for it. And you can tell, I mean, he loves his fans, like all his supporters. He really goes out of his way to, you know, thank them and show them the love that they show him back. And that I admire. And you got to enjoy these last few years with him, because, you know, being 33, I mean, who knows when he'll sail off into the sunset. Robert, I know you're a big golfer, and Canelo's a big golfer too, man. So I keep saying, I'm like, he wants to turn pro. He keeps talking about it. So,
dude, he can actually become pro, like in a heartbeat, because he can play some golf, bro. He can play some golf. So yeah,
he's legit. And if I'm him, you know, it's like, why go swing the golf club? Why do you need to get punched in the face? He's already a Hall of Famer,
right? You want to know why?
You know,
it's because he's Mexican, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man.
Like you said, Miguel, after his post-fight speech says it all. Like, he showed nothing but respect to his fans, and you know, it seemed like he's super dialed in. Of course, he said, you know, I kind of seen it that way, where maybe he's got 2 more years or so of top level fights where I don't know who would be the next contender. I mean, I was going to ask you, like, who do you think is going to be the next matchup? I mean, there's, you know, he's already beaten everybody, beaten the best, you know, so.
I mean, hopefully if I had my pick and someone came to me and I can make, you know, Canelo's next fight, it would be David Benavidez. I think that is the fight a lot of fans want.
Bro.
I personally would love to see it, because I think that would be an all-out war. I think that would be a fight where you would see kind of a throwback Canelo, you know, have to bite down on his mouthpiece, get in the trenches, and really try to shut a lot of those critics up that have said, you know, David Benavidez is the guy to take Canelo down. And as for David, I think you'd see a phenomenal performance as well, because he's been wanting this opportunity. He's been calling for this big moment that he still is looking for. And I know he beat Caleb Plant, which was an awesome victory for him. But I know he still wants that big challenge to show the world, you know, I'm legit. I'm the best in the world. So I think, and just the way their fighting styles are, I mean, Canelo's looking to knock your head off. David Benavidez throws punches in bunches. I mean, just, it would be, I think, from round 1 to 12, just a war.
Yeah, that would be. They would put on a show, man. Just the way David Benavidez fights, man, he's going to be ripping that body like there's no tomorrow, man. And Canelo, you know Canelo, man, he's trying to headhunt, so it's going to be tit for tat for in that fight, man.
Oh, it absolutely would. Like the chess match that would go on between those two, and you know, David's never been hit by a guy like Canelo, and also, like, I don't think Canelo really has fought a guy like David in the sense of, you know, how he's just so big and tall, and the way he's willing to take a punch to throw like 5 back. I mean, it's gonna be, it would be different, and I couldn't imagine what the scenes would be like on Cinco de Mayo if he were to, if that fight were to happen.
Sell out in freaking 2 minutes.
Oh yeah,
that's what he wanted too.
They'll break the internet.
Yeah, he said he wanted the Cinco de Mayo, and he said just anybody. He said nobody's beating this Canelo, and yeah, that is definitely an interesting matchup. And I mean, I do want to ask you too. Were you in attendance for the Billy Joe Saunders fight at AT&T Stadium?
I was not there for it, but I watched it, you know, with my family, and was able to see it there, which was an awesome event, by the way. I mean, how many did they have? What, 78,000 there for that fight?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was like I think it was the first event, like, you know, post COVID restrictions and that, and he packed that place out. And like I said, Canelo, he's beating everybody, and like his last couple fights, like he had the one Guadalajara, I think there was like 80,000 people there. So it's always a spectacle with Canelo, especially in those big stadium shows. But back at in Vegas, Fight Town, you were there in the mix. Said congrats on that, doing a good job. That's a big feather in your cap too as well. So yeah, it was cool to see you out there, having you on the show now to talk talk some boxing at the highest level with the perfect guy to talk to.
So I gotta
Nah,
know,
I
I gotta
appreciate
know,
it.
bro. I gotta know who you got. Wilder. I mean, not Wilder. I mean, Tyson Fury or Francis Ngannou.
Oh, come on, man. It's not even it's not even a question. Look, I'm sure it'll be a great event, and it'll be a nice little spectacle to watch, similar to how Mayweather and McGregor was. But if we're talking legit, winner, I mean, it'll be whenever Tyson decides he wants to end it.
Exactly.
If he wants to put on a show and carry Ngannou for a few rounds, he can. I mean, Ngannou had trouble with Stipe, outboxing him.
That's what I'm telling people, man. I'm like, Ngannou's not that good. He's strong. He's a hard hitter, but as far as skill wise, he's got horrible footwork. I mean, watching the his just him hitting the pads and sparring with Mike Tyson, I'm just like, what? I hope you're joking, bro. I seriously hope this is like some kind of next level troll where you think, Fury's gonna think, this guy's a chump. I'm gonna roll him. I'm not even gonna fuck with him, and you're gonna just land with. It's not gonna happen that way, bub. And if this is you 100%, you're in a world of fucking hurt. This dude is gonna, and like you said, Fury is gonna tell you when he's gonna end it. So it's just, I don't know, man.
He's been.
I don't like this fight.
Yeah,
it's I'll watch just to see kind of the spectacle and everything. But I mean, Ngannou, he benefits a lot from the fact that he had a couple of crazy highlight reel knockouts, like one punch knockouts, in the UFC. But I think when you really break it down, I mean, out of boxer, like if you're picking a heavyweight MMA guy to fight Fury, I don't think he'd be the guy that I would pick. That could really handle or even have a remote chance at fighting him. So I think Fury, the one I'm looking forward to, I'm glad they announced Alexander Usyk and Fury. I'm like, that's the fight.
What I want to see.
I'm looking forward to the Ngannou one. I think it's just to keep Fury get a big bag.
Yeah,
good for him. Credit to him, and keep himself busy.
Yeah, so that way he also doesn't have to cut weight and keep that dad bod going.
Yeah, exactly. He can get off his couch.
Yeah,
I wonder if
train, bro.
He does not have to train for this.
He's on both my gear.
It was same with Floyd when Floyd fought Connor. He trained. I think he said he was in the gym for a couple of weeks, but he really didn't do anything for that fight. There's great respect I got for MMA guys and boxers, but it's, boxers can't step into the cage because you're going to get wrecked.
Yeah.
And MMA fighters cannot step into the boxing ring because it's a totally different set of skills.
Oh, dude.
Yes, they're both fighting, but, but hey, credit to guys that have been able to make money off of this. I've benefited from a couple of those events, and I know my brother has as well. So look, hey, if the fans want it and they love it and it's good entertainment, all the props. But when we're breaking it down and you're actually legitimately thinking that someone can upset, no.
We've seen that trend. Keep going and going. Like you said, MMA to boxing, boxing to MMA. Very few have been successful, especially like in the prime of their careers. We've seen like the Jake Paul effect, as we say on the show a lot. We've had Anderson Silva crossover, but very few. You know what I mean? And when it's at the highest level, when you're talking to Tyson Furies, you're talking to Floyd Mayweather's, like you referred to the Conor fight. But in your opinion, of course, Conor and Floyd is probably the biggest money maker one-off. But I think, what do you think? Ngannou and Fury is going to still do some decent numbers, right? It's going to generate a lot of interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's the market. They've done a great job marketing it, and I think people are going to watch. The casual fans, just similar how the casual fans watch Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. It's that inherent, and that's why the casual fans will watch this weekend with Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul and I think that's what boxing, what they do a really good job at is building the story and getting the casual fan engaged and wanting to see something crazy like, the best heavyweight fighter boxer against the best MMA heavyweight fighter. how would that match up? So, you know, the concept's great, and the entertainment factor is absolutely there, and that's why it's going to do great numbers when it happens at the end of the month.
And even with Ngannou being out, like Rudy said, Rudy's never, like, I know Ngannou is the undefeated or undisputed heavyweight champ. He's not with the UFC, but we're seeing him fight Tyson Fury, who is arguably the best heavyweight of all time.
Bro, he had the 2 shittiest fights in UFC fucking history, and he lost. He lost to Derek fucking Lewis, bro. So when people tell me he's the GOAT, I'm like, bro, no, he's not.
No,
he's just scary. He's a scary, hard hitting man, and I'm not going to take that away from him. He's got no skill on the ground, and he's not got no skill boxing. He just hits fucking hard. He hits like a Mack truck, and if he lands one, good night. It's fucking over. But if you want to put him against, you know, John Jones, he's gonna lose. You want to put him up against Tyson Fury, he's gonna lose. That's the way it is.
Look, if Tyson Fury was able to get up multiple times from a Deontay Wilder right hand, he is not. There's going to be nothing Ngannou can do that will stun Fury.
I think the biggest mistake was not making the fight Ngannou versus Wilder. That would have just blown the roof of it. At Madison Square Garden, you know, that would have just been phenomenal, bro. Phenomenal. A huge fucking turnout. These guys guaranteed someone's going to sleep. I don't know if Fury's going to put him to sleep. I think he might just play with him for 12 rounds and just, you know, masterclass his ass.
Yeah, we've seen Fury. He's a weird guy because we've seen him in fights where it's just like, it's a snooze fest. It's like, what are you doing? He's just kind of happy to be there. And then we see him in other fights where it's like, oh my, this is one of the best heavyweight fights in decades, you know? So I think it really just depends on, you know, his opponent and whether it brings it out in him for him to want to really get up and do it. And I think he'll do it for Ngannou. I think he'll put on a good show and he'll finish him off. And then I also think he'll do it for Usyk because, you know, a lot of people have been discrediting Fury and think, you know, you've been avoiding him, you're ducking him. And I think he's going to be looking to shut people up and make history as the first undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. So
yeah,
I think these next two, we'll see a motivated Fury.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm still going to put some money on Ngannou winning.
Hey, what are the odds for that?
I don't know, man. I haven't checked. I'll look at it.
Ridiculous.
I bet it's like something like 1,000 for Fury and like minus 6,000.
Yeah.
But like you said,
which is actually funny because when Mayweather fought McGregor, I think they said the sports book were like minus 240 for Mayweather, which.
Yeah, bro.
I'm still upset to this day that I didn't put everything I had in my savings on Mayweather,
bro. So Tyson Fury is a minus 1,100 favorite. Francis Ngannou sits as a plus 650 underdog. So there's a lot of money to be made on the table, man. If Francis Ngannou wins, if he wins, bro, it's like if he wins any round 4th through 10th round, any of those rounds, it's a plus 10,000.
Jesus Christ!
And it doesn't matter how he wins.
Wow!
By decision or technical decision.
Put a $5 bet. You're gonna make thousands, bro.
No.
I don't know about that.
That's why they do it, though, man. That's why the odds are what they are, because it's just near impossible.
He stands his puncher's chance, and this is one. You know, one fight I'll say he stands a puncher's chance because he does. He always stands a puncher's chance. And unfortunately, his puncher's chance is a lot bigger than most people's puncher's chance.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, Miguel, we are running out of time. We have another guest actually jumping on as well. Bro, we need to have you back on the show and
absolutely, guys.
And get you on the entire show because it's a lot of fun talking to you now and having your brother. I mean, you guys are just you guys are amazing, man. And I've been following both y'all's career for a very, very long time. And it's always fun to see you guys on TV. And, you know, and both of y'all, you know, have been covering events as well, working the same events. which is pretty cool. You know, having the Flores brothers covering the events. I think that is fucking badass, dude.
It is great to do shows with my brother, and you know, we've had a great opportunity to call fights together, and it's kind of surreal from where we came when we were kids, you know, watching it, you know, on pay-per-view in our parents' house and things like that, to being at these events and working them. I mean, it doesn't get past me that you know, I was a fan first. Always, and I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not working a lot of these events, I'm still watching as much as I can.
Bro, you're a real fight fan.
Yes.
Fury
Yeah,
before Fury Usyk or after, we'll get you on. We'll have you back on for that one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
guys.
let's get you on. Unless you're working it, then obviously we're not going to be able to. But
I appreciate it, guys. I'm still I've been following you guys for years, man. So
thank you.
I still follow all the stuff that you guys put out, and you know, will continue to do so. One of the best out there.
Thank you, bro. Really do appreciate that. Before we let you go, like we always do with all our guests, man, any shout outs you want to give, go for it, bro.
No, man, I shout you guys out. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. You know, I'm been very lucky so far in my career, and you know, hopefully it's just starting, and there will be more to come.
Hell yeah, man! Right on, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miguel Flores. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys, man.
Thanks, man. Have a good night, bro.
All right.